Okay, we should be recording now. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming to Compassion Fatigue Training. My name is Ashley Flores. I'm the Director of Animal Behavior and Training at Great Plains SPCA. I've been working here for about 8 years, and I've been training for about 18 years. So compassion fatigue is not really in dog training wheelhouse, but it is something that I'm very passionate about because compassion fatigue is something that's very real, and it's something that happens to a lot of people that work in animal welfare, along as healthcare, and a lot of types of jobs like that. So we're going to be talking a lot about compassion fatigue. So just real quick, if you guys have any questions, feel free to pop in, ask as many questions as you like. The more questions we have, the better the compassion fatigue training, in my opinion. All right, so first of all, what is compassion fatigue? So compassion fatigue is emotional exhaustion caused by the stress for caring of people, caring for traumatized or suffering animals or people. So this is something that I thought was really interesting. Research has started to document that animal care professionals are being traumatized in many of the same ways that other rescues and first responders, such as firefighters, police, paramedics, corpsmen, service people, and combat Red Cross volunteers are all traumatized by what they witness. Some studies are beginning to suggest that animal care professionals may be number one in vulnerability to compassion fatigue and burnout. I found that incredibly interesting because the whole reason why I really got interested in this was because I knew a veterinarian that committed suicide because she worked at a high kill shelter. She had to euthanize a lot of animals that, in my opinion, could have been rehabilitated or had medical care, but she didn't have an option for where she was. This was not directly her fault. It was a product of their city and how they ran things. But because she had to euthanize these animals, she was under a lot of scrutiny, under a lot of from other people in the area, and they harassed her a lot, and so she couldn't handle it and she committed suicide. So this is something I thought, should be shared with people because this is not something that unfortunately is not abnormal in animal welfare. So as you already know, there's a lot of emotional stuff goes into working in animal welfare. When you're constantly exposed to harsh and painful realities, such as trauma, and you are not able to debrief, to talk about it, talk about what had happened or how you feel about it, all that stuff just kind of builds up inside of you like a reservoir until you are exhausted, angry, or you feel like you're going to explode, or feel that you hate all people, or even have lost enthusiasm, joy, or hope. Has anyone felt that way here before? That is something that you should think about because this is the next section. We're going to be asking some questions, and I want you guys to really think about these things. So have you ever felt like you were stuck in depression? Me personally, yes, I have felt this way. Have you ever had sudden outbursts of anger? Have you ever felt sad with your tears just below the surface and you're just trying everything you can to not cry? Have you felt cynical, numb, hardened, or hopeless ever? Have you ever had a hard time feeling compassion or relating to other situation because of emotional trauma that you're undergoing? Have you felt isolated, like other people can't understand? And have you ever snapped at others and been aggressive or sarcastic or uncooperative because of how you're feeling? Have you ever felt exhausted or like you can't keep going on with the work that you do with animals? I see this every single day with our staff and volunteers. I see this with our foster volunteers. I see this very often. I'm pretty sure many of you have known a foster volunteer or a volunteer that has left Great Plains because they just couldn't handle it anymore because they were so wrapped up in an animal's well-being that they felt like they couldn't handle it anymore, or it was just too hard for them. So these are all very normal experiences. And so this is why I want everyone to just kind of pay attention to how they're feeling and try to understand how they can help themselves. So, of course, if you heard, I'm sure everyone has heard you have to help yourself before you can help others. And I absolutely believe that. If you're in a good mindset, then you can do a lot more. If you have a poor mindset and you're feeling isolated and depressed, then you can only do less work. And even if it is less work, sometimes that work can be damaging for the animals around you. I'll give you an example. Sometimes when there was a point where I had a dog, and the dog had attacked me and had bit me several times. So my boss was awesome enough to understand that I was going under stress at that point because I had to do a lot of things to make sure that I wasn't getting bitten, and there was no one there to help me in that point. So she had me go off campus. She even asked if I needed to go home, but I didn't feel like I needed to go home. But I went off campus for an hour, ate a sandwich apart, and it was a way for me to decompress from something that had happened. And during that time, my coworker went with me because he was actually in the same situation. And it was very intense for both of us. So this was a situation where we both got to leave the facility. We were talking about it. We got to cope with it, if that makes sense. So it was a way for us to cope. And I feel like a lot of times people don't stop and think about it, talk about it, or cope with their feelings, and they just keep pushing it down. And that can be very dangerous as far as compassion fatigue is concerned. So wanted to talk to you about some common fatigue that happens here at the shelter. So common fatigue that can cause compassion fatigue for staff or volunteers. Animals not going to the homes that you had hoped for, adopters returning animals, fostering behavior dogs, feeling like the weight of walking the dogs is on your shoulders completely, feeling like the pile of laundry is never ending, feeling like your opinion doesn't matter or you aren't valued, changes in staffing. That's a big one for our staff because that can make them feel very um, overwhelmed when trying to train and keep up with all their duties. Being involved in too many events, feeling like you are the only one working with an animal, feeling like our animals' needs aren't being met, repeatedly watching animals being dumped on our property. And I'll just add another one for intake, and then frequently getting yelled at by the public because we're not able to take their animals due to space. And then lastly, for me, my biggest one is euthanasia. So the thing that causes me the most compassion fatigue is having to approve and do euthanasia. So that is I've had to learn how to cope because I've been dealing with euthanasia for over 12 years that I can think of, and actually having to be a part of it and having to make the decisions around euthanasia. And for me, before, I remember just kind of like holding it all in and then going home and then like just crying at night in bed. And I realized that is not a healthy way to handle euthanasia. So I had to come up with some other ways to um, release that, frustration or sadness in a way that I could continue working and helping other animals and being positive at work. So I added this. I always say his last name wrong, so I just won't even say it. I'll say Dr. James. He's an expert in critical incident stress management and trauma debriefing. And he states that you must do these 4 things, which I feel are incredibly important and wanted to share with all of you. So first of all, talking about each of your experiences with enough detail that you can connect emotionally with what you experienced. So for my example, when my coworker and I went, we both were in that situation, and um, I'm trying not to go into too much detail with what happened, but he basically had to come to my rescue because I was stuck there. I was stuck in a place where an animal was attacking me and I couldn't move because if I moved, the dog would bite more. So he had to rescue me from that situation, which I was very thankful for. But luckily, no one got bit. I mean, he was biting at my clothes and stuff, but I was able to maneuver him and bite a towel or bite my sweater. But I had to hold him off for a couple of minutes until I could get someone to help me. So in that point, we just kind of talked about it like, why do you think this dog felt that way? Why do you think this dog did this? What caused this dog to feel that they needed to react this way? And these are kind of the questions that we asked each other until we got to the point where we felt like we could understand the situation. And once we understood, because it's hard to get wrapped up when something traumatizing has happened or something scary has happened and you panic. And what we have is what we call cortisol. We have cortisol, and what happens is it's a stress hormone, and it goes really high when you're stressed. So you can't rationally think about things when you have those cortisol levels that high. So you actually shouldn't make euthanasia decisions when you're in that phase, right? So we had to get calm before we could rationally think about what to do with this animal at this point. Another one is acknowledging and safely expressing your feelings. So trying to talk to someone and just having them just listen, not giving advice, just listen for 5 minutes. So this is something that we do at the shelter. Everyone kind of has what we call a buddy, and you can go to your buddy to talk about, things that are stressor. Now let me make this clear. This is to express feelings when you're feeling frustrated. This is not just to complain. So there's a difference between complaining about not liking your job versus needing to talk and explain how you feel because you undergone trauma or something that is causing you to be really upset. And if you do that over and over and you have no release, then it just piles up. Another one is just taking care of yourselves. So we're going to talk more about things that you can do to take care of yourself. So, so here are some of the examples: taking time out after difficult events, setting clear boundaries about what you can handle and can't handle, and what's too much for you. So, for example, we have some people that work with our behavior animals, but they do not want to participate in euthanasia because that's too much for them, and that is totally fine. Having boundaries is clear, is good, and you should have those. Scaling back when you need to, if you're feeling like you're just getting too overwhelmed and then someone asks you to foster, at that point maybe say, not right now. I need to scale back. I need to take care of myself. You know I need to get in a better place before I can foster again. That happens all the time, and we appreciate the people that do that, because those are the people that are going to keep coming back and fostering and helping us in the future. People that don't scale back are the ones that burn out. Another one is to create closure if needed. Building a memorial or doing something in honor of an animal that's one that I like to do. And then the last one is brainstorming options and finding solutions. So I really like this picture. You can't pour from an empty cup, so you have to take care of yourself first. So that's kind of the theme of what I've been trying to talk to you guys all about. So some of the things that you can do, these are some of the things that I do. So first of all, journaling your thoughts. I'm a big journal. I love journals. Not facing things alone, sharing your experiences and being able to talk about it. Seeking positive influences and surrounding yourself around positive people is really helpful. I know it can be hard to do when you have a friend that maybe uh, likes to complain, but you feel really close to them, or even if you feel like they're complaining about things that you agree with, it can still put you in a poor mindset. So I still recommend trying to be around positive influences if you can. This is a big one I had to learn that it's okay to say no. I have not always known to do this, and I had to learn this. This is definitely a skill that has to be learned by many people. Um, but it is okay to say no, and you need to say no if you feel like you're taking on too much or if you can't handle something. Allow yourself time to unwind. Meditation and breathing exercises. This is something I do a lot. I'm really big into meditation. And a lot of people always tell me like, I can't meditate. I can't do it. It's too hard for me to focus. Well, I'm here to tell you, I have 4 different types of ADD. So I have attention deficit disorder, and I've got 4 different types of it. For those that didn't know, there's actually 7 types. So I've got 4 of the 7 types. and I can meditate. So if I can, you guys totally can. You just have to teach yourself how to do it. I think the mistake people make is they try to meditate for like 30 minutes, and that's not how you start if you haven't done it. You just start by doing, 5 minutes, and then you go longer and longer, almost like kennel training, huh? Breathing exercises are another one where you can just focus on your breathing and counting your breathing in and out. This helps with your blood pressure and your stress and your cortisol. Yoga and relaxation is a big one. And then for the staff, we don't have this for the volunteers, but for the staff, Great Plains SPCA does offer an EAP, which is an employee assistance program. So just wanted to share that with if there's any staff on here. And just real quick, because I see most of you guys are volunteers, the EAP, it's basically just it's a confidential therapy service that we offer, and you can call them anytime you want, and you can talk about anything. You can talk about, as you can see on the left, marriage, relationship, family problems at work, legal, financial issues, stress, anxiety, alcohol or drug dependency, identity theft, health, wellness concerns. These are just a few things to talk about. In this last few years, in the last year and this year, it's been mostly like COVID-19 related stuff. So it can be anything. And a lot of times, and it is totally free, and they give you up to, I believe, 7 sessions per item that you want to talk about. So it's a really awesome program, and it's really awesome that we offer it. So just wanted to share that. So what's the most important things you can do? I know it sounds silly, but laughing is one of the best things that you can do. So for example, this dog right here, his name is Radar. And if you look at his face, I painted with a marker, toxic free marker, by the way. And I put little eyebrows on him because every time he just had very expressive eyes. So I always put little eyebrows on him so that he just looked funny. So as you can see, so laughter is one of the best things you can do if you can. It alleviates stress, it fights off infections, it boosts brain health, it lowers your blood pressure, it improves your mood, and surrounds yourself, which is why I was telling you earlier about surrounding yourself with positive people, because it does make your life better, and it does make your health better as well. So always try to seek positive influences if you can. And then the biggest thing that I want to discuss is I just want you guys to remember that your work is so compelling. You are doing a great job. You're making a difference. So the question for you is, will you create your own self-care program to maintain your own resiliency and inoculate yourself against compassion fatigue and burnout? Will you be good to yourself, gentle with yourself? Will you cherish yourself as much as you cherish the animals, which is what I believe that you guys should all do. So this is the question and answer portion. So what we're going to do is you guys can go ahead and unmute yourself. Thank you for staying muted for this thing. And what I would like for you to do is just ask any questions that you may have about compassion fatigue, or you can tell me about experiences where you have dealt with compassion fatigue and what you do. Another option is just tell us what you do to unwind. Give us some ideas of what you do. Does anybody have any questions? I'll take that as a no. So just some ideas. Can you guys share anything that you guys do to help your guys, like when you guys are feeling frustrated, even if it's not about animals and you're just, just even in personal life, what do you do to help calm yourself? How do you relax?
So I have a number of hobbies that I consider very relaxing, and one of the things that I kind of go back to over and over again is my knitting. And it kind of reminds me of that whole phrase, stick to your knitting. If I go back to that, it really chills me out.
I love that. And I've actually seen some of your knitting stuff too, so that's really awesome. I'm cracking up because it actually said urinating and then it said knitting. So I'm laughing at these captions. So I'll show you some pictures of so here's just some some people that I just adored working with. Some of them don't work for, some of them still do, but some of the ways that I wanted to share with you. So for example, Maggie, how she likes to take long baths. She likes to do candle lights. She likes to do music. She's one of those. Alex is above her, and Alex, what he would do every morning, he would spend 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes after he takes a shower. He'd just sit in the shower and let the water run on his back, and he would just kind of meditate. So Megan to the left, she likes essential oils, and she likes exercising, and that's what she likes to do. Karen, her biggest relief is just to be with her cats and to work with them. And then to the right, all the way to the right bottom, we've got Danielle, and her favorite thing to do is to go bowling. So that's how she releases stress and attention. Tension, not attention. And then above her is Dr. Taylor, who's no longer here, and we missed her completely. But she does, one of her favorite things is she just really likes hanging out with her cow. She has a cow, and she hangs out with her cow a lot. So I just think that's really adorable. So if you guys have any other questions, that's all I've got. But the biggest thing is I really urge you guys, if you're not doing this already, to come up with a self-care plan for yourself. Because you guys are so important to Great Plains SPCA, and we definitely need you. And it's okay to say no, and it's okay to take a break. And I would rather someone say, hey, I'm going to take a break for a month and come back, than to never see them again and get frustrated. So some things to think about. So I'll leave it here. If you guys don't have any questions, let me know. And then that's all we've got for today.
Thank you, Ashley. It's really, it's important. I've only started with you guys. I know just in the world we live in, you turn the news on and you hear about, you know, difficult things and things with animals. And I mean, it's constant. I can't imagine what you guys deal with on a day-to-day basis. As joyful as some of your triumphs are, I'm sure, I mean, the euthanasia and the devastating days have to be very hard to move past. I work in bone marrow transplant with lymphoma and leukemia patients, and right now the puppies are like my release. So they've been my therapy.
Yeah, that's big. That's really big. That's some big stuff that you're doing. So, well, I'm glad that we're able to provide you with an outlet, and our puppies get fostering. So that's a double win.
Can we see the puppies?
What?
Can we see the puppies?
Yes.
Oh yeah, here, I'll stop recording and then you can share the
Wait.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
wait. What